3, 2, 1, let's boogie. So lesson 6, Ordinary Simple Annuities. This time we're going to be trying to figure out our interest I. I'll put a link up above, I guess, so to the general playlist on Ordinary Annuities so that you can take a look at any of them. So this one is particularly pertaining towards the fact that if you have an Ordinary Simple Annuity and if you were solving, you were given basically the future value, the payment, the number of terms, and what you didn't have is you didn't have your I. All right? Or, okay, you were given the present value, the payment, and the number of terms, and again, you still want to be able to solve for I. So our interest I is really what is the key. Now, what I have shown you in all other videos, I basically derived every single formula so that you technically didn't really have to use a business calculator to solve, right? That does kind of things behind the scenes. But in this case around, it's actually a very hard problem. You can't just simply isolate for I just as we have done in the previous ones. And I encourage anyone to try it. Right? And to try to see, you're going to be sitting around and really trying to figure out. You can't really use logs anymore as much. You know, there are some special cases where sometimes you can solve for I, but sometimes you may not be able to. So what I'm going to do, I was just thinking really hard, and I guess for those that are keen enough that were interested in seeing the derivations of the others, I'll show you how you can actually find, or at least find a better way of guessing. Almost to like literally the T. Nowadays, with the computational power of our computers, you can pretty much get it. And I can show you it's using setting up, okay, and using just a function. And then you can use spreadsheets as well. So I'm going to show, and I'm going to do a video on that as well. So that's going to be coming out. Okay, and I'll put a link once it is out. So, you know, I'm pointing up above so that when you're watching, maybe the link is still not there. But if it's there, that means the video is up already. And you're going to be able to see it. And it's pretty neat. I encourage people to see it and try to see if you understand the concept. Because you can't just blindly isolate for I in this case. Now, because we can't really do it, most of the time, you know, instructors, whatever, teachers, profs, whoever might be teaching this, will just simply utilize the business calculator so that it does exactly what I will be showing in that video that I pointed out. Because the business calculator just has a little program that runs behind the scenes and is capable of showing for this I. And when you're doing it, you'll even notice that there's a little lag. It doesn't just pop out with the answer right away because it's not a simple formula, right? So it actually has to do something behind the scenes. So it's pretty neat. And because I guess I come from an engineering background and I've run into some of these kind of solutions, so I thought I would share that in that video. In this video, however, we're going to be solving for I with a few pretty neat examples, and I will use the business calculator because it will pretty much dominate what you do. You don't want to necessarily be going off on your own and building your spreadsheets or functions or something like that. If it's a test or an assignment, you know, you can certainly use the tool. That's why we build the tools, right? Someone builds it and then we use it. It's kind of like using a car, right? You know, you have to know how to drive a car. You don't necessarily have to know all the ins and outs behind how a car works. So that's kind of the key. So let's take a look here. So I have prepared a couple of examples for you, and that will complete. And these ones are pretty neat examples here. So there they are, okay? And we're going to be solving it literally using our business calculator. So I'm going to just write down all the givens. We'll pop up the calculator, and then we'll see how it works. So you are a financial advisor and your client comes to you wanting to have $500,000 in 15 years down the line. All right, so that's a very legitimate question, right? So if you were an advisor, okay, and someone comes to you and says, well, I want to have this much down the line. Now, what your client is willing to do, they're willing to invest $1,000. All right, so they're willing to invest $1,000 at the end of every month, so that's important because it's per month, for the entire 15 years. Now, what interest rate compounded monthly? So that's super useful to know. So we're looking for the interest rate compounded monthly. Would you have to guarantee your client in order for this to happen? So you want to have, in the future, $500,000. Your client is willing to basically put away $1,000 each month, all right, until, okay, that 15 years is up. And they're saying, I want to have $500,000. And your goal is now, can I kind of guarantee? I mean, technically, in investing, you know that you can't really fully guarantee something, So, I mean, you might be around the ballpark figure, but there's always risk. But in this case, okay, let's see what interest rate would be needed. And then you can gauge, right, what investments, do they have to go very risky investments or not so risky? And then you would have to talk to your client about that. So I'm going to write down all our givens here. So what do we have? We know that our future value is $500,000. So that's what they're supposed to be receiving back in 15 years. So now that means, so our N, so number of terms is 15 and it is monthly, notice. So we have 15 times 12. So that's going to be our N. Now, the other thing that I guess, we know is we know that our payments, so our payments that we have are equal to $1,000 per month. All right, and we're trying to find our interest, which we don't know, and it's compounded monthly. So let's pop out the calculator and try to see. So I'm going to kind of shift this around. Let me do that here. Let me dock it up. And I'm going to just share with you the screen so that you have it there. And let's take a look how we would make this happen. All right. So again, I'm just going to clear everything. So second function, clear time value of money. And now, first thing we always do is, so this is being compounded monthly, right? Then your payments are monthly. So let's make sure those align. Oh, 12, perfect, okay? So it's 12. If it wasn't 12, we would put in 12, enter, and then you go down or up. So compounding is 12 times per year, and then the payments are the same. So second function, quit. And now let's put everything in. So we know N. So N was 15 years multiplied by 12. All right, so that is that. So that's N. So we know that. The interest we obviously are looking for. The present value, there is no present value here, so we're going to put 0. All right, so that's that. Our payments. Now, again, remember from the previous videos that if you have payments and you have future value, they have to be of opposite sign, because otherwise your business calculator is going to screw up on you. So I always, again, say that if you are giving the money, okay, so meaning you're making payments of some kind, so the money is coming out of your pocket, I just make it negative. And then if it's coming back into my pocket, I make it positive. So that's just my convention. It doesn't really matter as long as the signs are opposite. But in this case, I'll make the payments negative because I am making payments. And then the future value is supposed to be, so these are my payments, and then the future value is $500,000. All right, so that would be future value, and I'm making it positive. It's coming back to me. All right, that's how much I want to have. And now, well, by magic, we hit compute and and notice, bam, did you notice the leg? Okay, so there was a lag because it's not a simple formula. It has to work it out a little bit. Okay, so notice it says it's about 12%. So 12% compounded monthly, right? That's what you would need. So if I go back here into our notes, okay, so we would need 12% kind of compounded monthly, right? That's what we would need. Now, that is an actually pretty good interest rate to have, right, for investments in general. So, I mean, I would jump on it for sure. Now, as an advisor, I don't know if I would be able to actually guarantee someone something like that. That's where you have to sit down. You can study what kind of market returns there are or whatever it is that this person wants to invest in. But the math behind it, that's what this would be. All right, so this was a great question, and it tells you, you know, how hard it is to get $500,000 if your payments are $1,000. All right, because that's what you would need. You would need 12% to do it. Here is another example that I want to show you. All right, so in this example, it says George needs to borrow $250,000 to start a business. He wants to pay off the loan in 20 years with payments of $4,000 every quarter. So we're going to be paying off every quarter. What interest compounded quarterly? So notice the payments and compounding are aligning, they're quarterly. Would he have to agree to? So basically, you know, what is the interest that he would have to agree to pay this entire thing off? It says round to the 10th. So we can do that as well. So my givens, so I'm going to write that in here. So given. All right, so now in this case, this is the present value because we have just borrowed this. All right, and here beside it, because we're going to be putting in this into the calculator, I'll make this positive. The reason it's positive is because I am receiving the loan. All right, so that's why I'm just going to make it positive in the calculator. And then my payments are supposed to be $4,000 because I'm making the payments. So I'm going to make this negative in the calculator. All right, so that's what I have there. And then this is for 20 years. So N equals, so 20 years times, this is quarterly, so times 4. So this is much easier. So 20 times 4 is 80 of these payments that they would have. So now let's take a look if we can find out. So let me go back. So here it is. All right, so I'm just going to clear this up in here. Second function, clear time value of money. So first things first, all right, so this is quarterly. So we have 4 of these. So enter, make sure. All right, so it adjusted that. So that's good to go. Okay, so second function, N. So N was 80 because it was 20 times 4, so that's N. Present value. Okay, so again, so our present value here was quarter. All right, and I said that this was going to be positive because it's coming in. Okay, so I'm receiving this value, so I'll leave it in positive. Payments, so my payments are 4,000. Whoops, my payments are 4,000. Now they're negative because I'm making those payments. Future value, we don't have a future value, so we put 0. All right, so don't forget it just in case it's not 0, right? So in case it didn't clear or something. And now finally, so compute, okay? And again, we'll take a look. Bam, okay, so there it is. So 2.55256, I think it said round to the 10th. So we'll put 2.6, okay, rounded to the 10th. So that's what you would have. So that's not bad. And I mean, I'm making this video, I guess, 2020, okay, well, basically leading into 2021, and yeah, interest rates are pretty low. So here, this would kind of make sense. So we said 2.6, and this was quarterly. All right. And now the interest rates will obviously depend on the time when you're doing this. And it depends on the question, right? So it depends where you're borrowing from, you know, how good your credit is and things of that nature. But this is a great exercise to know. And notice this was the first time I actually didn't do it from some formal formula. So I will take a look at these examples and kind of show you in a different video on how you could actually come up and close to these ones and what the business calculator is doing. And that's what you'll see there. All right, so if you're interested, you can click on that link that I talked about in the kind of the beginning of this video. So thanks for watching. So these were great examples. Try them on your own. Try it on your business calculator. And then you can put a comment below. Hit a thumbs up. Okay, hit a like if you found it useful. And hopefully we will see you in future videos. All right, okay, so cheers everybody. Bye. Take care.